You're listening to Passing Time, a Detroit Lions podcast. We're one pride and all grit, with a passion for Detroit Lions football. Whether you're between meetings, between classes, sitting in traffic, or just relaxing at home, if you have time to pass, pass it with Passing Time. Detroit Lions Talk.
Welcome back, everybody, after a huge win. We are a Detroit Lions podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Brian.
And this is episode number 33, Brian.
Let's go.
And we're on the clock, and you're passing time with us now. Let's get this out of the way real quick. Please, if you haven't already,
subscribe, like, follow, do all the things, click the bell, and help us get on the algorithm. Help us continue to grow this page, this podcast, and help us out a little bit.
We're starting to pop off a little bit. So here we go. Fun episode this week. They're always more fun.
Always more fun.
After a huge win against the hot Cowboys team.
And we talked about a must win, and we did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Not done yet?
Not done. No.
So
4 weeks left.
4 weeks left. They really need 3 wins out of these 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Brian.
and we'll get into that.
Yep. So kind of just front running the podcast a little bit. Rams are the next big target. We're going to dive deep into how the Lions match up with the Rams.
All right.
We're going to hand out some more free winners. Last week, gave you 3 different bets. All 3 hit.
Hit. Let's
go.
go.
Stacking those Benjamins in your bank account. There you go. 1-800-GAMBLER. We are not a gambling website. We're just here to have a little bit of fun.
Yep.
We're going to put a bow on the Cowboys game from last week.
All right.
Fun game to watch.
Great showing.
Yeah, you and I mean, for the 3rd time, we just sat down and watched a little bit of highlights, and it's just fun, man. It was a fun game to watch.
Yep.
Brian, you are going to lead us through the NFL on our rooting interests around the NFL for this week.
I mean, there's definitely still some NFC teams out there that are ahead of us, and we have some rooting interests in order to help the Lions along the way. So,
hey, Brian, whose house got more drama right now? Sharon Moore's house or Brian Michael's house?
Well, it's Sharon Moore for sure.
For sure. If we got time, maybe we'll bury that in the back of the corner. But a lot of drama going on in Ann Arbor right now. Actually, he's in a detention center somewhere right now. So, we're gonna kick it off this week with I think you as listeners, me, the most important thing is what are the playoff storylines? Where are we at right now? What needs to happen for the Lions to ultimately, have a shot at winning the championship? Sure.
Well, number one, we got to get in, right? The Lions right now are the outside looking in. They're the 8th team in the NFC. 7 only go to the playoffs. In order to get to a Super Bowl, we have to make it in. And right now, the numbers are about a 55% chance for the Lions to make it in. But we're still in the position where we hold our own destiny, and we got to win. Yeah. So, the Rams game coming up isn't necessarily a must-win, but for sure it would help our chances.
So we have 4 left, and let's just quickly talk about the 4 games we have left.
All right.
Cowboys, a huge win.
Huge win. Must win.
It sets us up so differently. So we got a road dog against the Rams this week. And then we have a home game against the Steelers.
Yep.
I would call that kind of a must win.
It is. I mean, that's one of those on the list that are, I'm not going to say easy, but easier than maybe a Rams. Yeah. So at this point, it's a must, W along the way. So.
And it's your last home game of the year. Mm-hmm. Then we go on the road to avenge a Vikings game.
On Christmas.
And you see those uniforms?
Oh, man, it's going to be looking...
It's a beautiful uniform game, and I'm obviously a partial Lions fan, but those uniforms that the Vikings are putting out,
icy,
gotta be one of my favorite.
Oh, the white helmets,
kits I've seen ever.
The white jerseys, the white pants. It does look sharp. Yeah. But we're going to combat that with the all blacks and looking like the dark side.
It's a great uniform game. You can tell which team is which team, right? Yep. And then last game of the year away at the Chicago Bears, which is going to be just a massive
And
finale.
if it comes down to a win and get in Chicago, it is going to be huge.
Yes. So. And the word's gotten around, because I don't think my wife watches this podcast, but the word's gotten to her from our subscribers that do watch, and we appreciate you. that I am going to that game, and she let me know. Didn't give me permission yet, but she heard from the roundabout that you're going to Chicago, and I was like, well, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about this. So
not definite, but close.
In her future is maybe a 30-minute facial massage, butter her up. I
get it.
Pop the question.
I'm not gonna lie. My wife just went to New York with her sister and some nieces. Spent some days doing the touristy thing. I stayed home with my boys and held down the fort. We did a good job. So that was kind of her facial, her back massage. Maybe those might be added in too. So
I like it. And Lisa will definitely hear it, especially if you said that they might be added in too. She's gonna be like, hey, Brian, like, come on, man. Like, I need that stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll send them together. So playoff picture right now, you got the Rams, the top seed, 10-3. Packers, number 2 seed, 9-3-1. That tie. Eagles, kind of falling back a little bit. You got the Bucks at 7-6, division winners, both Eagles and the Bucks. Seahawks at 10-3, 49ers at 9-4, coming off a bye, and then the Bears go from 1st to 7th with a loss last week.
Isn't that crazy?
Hanging at 9-4.
How week to week we have this drastic change in the standings, and what might happen next week is you got the Bears playing the Browns, we're playing the Rams, but if those two games go in our favor, that's a drastic swing.
Yeah, so Lions at the 8th spot, 8-5. A lot can change week to week, as Brian just mentioned. Going from 1st to 7th is very doable. Going from 8th to 5th is very doable in a standard of 1 week as well. So you got the Panthers. Dave Canales got those boys humming, man. They're 7-6. They did us some favors by beating the Rams a couple weeks ago. You got the Cowboys at 6-1. They were flying up the charts, and they could still catch the Eagles, and they have a tiebreaker. Then you got the Vikings kind of hanging in there, 5-8.
5-8. So we have our destiny in our own hands. All we have to do is win.
So a couple scenarios here. The old Christmas chart is 4 games left. If you are perfect through those 4 games, statistically speaking, you are
100%.
100% in.
We're in.
And you have a 52% chance to win your division. So solid.
Yeah, I would say that we're putting ourselves, destiny in our own hands. We have the ability to run the table, and we have the ability. We have the players, we have the talent, we have the coaches. We can do this. Yeah. And the Rams game does look daunting, and everybody's talking about this is the one game that we might or could or probably. You hear all those question marks, but let's slow down a bit. We have a really good Lions team, and we're coming off a really good win, and we'll get into that a little bit later. This is the best that we started to see the Lions play in recent weeks. So
yeah. So let's talk about another scenario. Just game coming up here. If they drop this game at the Rams, but they win out, Brian.
3-1.
We're 3-1 in the last games. You finish overall 11-6. What are the chances to win the division, and what are the chances that the Lions can creep into the playoffs?
So we're creeping in the playoffs. There's a good chance to creep in the playoffs still, like 94% to creep in the playoffs. Okay. The ability to win the division drops down to about 14%.
Okay. So probably not win the division, but very, very strong likelihood.
Likelihood to be in the playoffs.
All right. A scenario that comes to my head, kind of it could be a potentially realistic scenario, is you drop this game at the Rams and you drop the game at Chicago.
Okay.
So 2 losses. You finish the season 2-2. You win the 2 middle games, versus Pittsburgh and at Minnesota. Can the Lions make the playoffs in that scenario?
It's slim. It's 12% chance to make the playoffs, so it's still there. But that means that basically Green Bay loses out. That means that the Bears go 1-3 in the next 4, and ultimately it doesn't help our odds. When it comes to making that playoff run. So. Okay, and then Pittsburgh and Minnesota. So let's just say we drop this one at the Rams, because Vegas is telling us that brace yourself. That's a high potential for that to happen.
and we lose one of the two against Pittsburgh and Minnesota, but we beat the Bears at the end of the year, Brian, what range are we in to make the playoffs in that scenario?
Yeah, if we lose to the Rams and we lose to the Steelers, is that what you said again?
Steelers or Minnesota.
Or Minnesota. Right? So it puts us right around that 45, 46%, 44% chance of still making the playoffs.
A little bit of a coin flip.
So it's more of that 50-50 chance. Ultimately, we want to just continue to hold our own destiny and take care of our business, and 3-1 will do that. So
yeah, so I mean, if we win this week, we take some pressure off those middle games for sure. But that Bears game,
huge,
that swings the statistics more than any game remaining on our schedule, because right now we are 8 and they are 7.
Yeah, and we'll get into a little bit more about what. Well, I guess let's get into a little bit more about what that might look like. That the Bears are going up against the Browns this week. So let's go Browns, rooting interest there. And then they face the Packers, the 49ers, and then us. So this is not a cakewalk for the Chicago Bears. And the Browns, even though they kind of reeling a little bit, they still have a formidable defense. Shedeur Sanders has something to prove. And they're going to be fighting every step of the way. So
yeah, they're one big hit on Caleb Williams from throwing off a whole game plan, right?
And Myles Garrett can do that, right? If anybody can do that, Myles Garrett can do that, because isn't he also 3 sacks away from the all sacks record too? And how crazy would it be if he got that in the Bears game?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be very happy. That's a game we'll be watching, and then they play the Packers, 49ers, and the Lions. So that's a tough road to hoe.
And those are all teams that we're kind of competing with it as well. That Packers and 49ers, who, if they drop a couple, that helps our chances as well. So, they're going to be continuing to combat each other, and it's going to help the Lions in the long run. So
it's an emotional sandwich game too. You got the Packers and the Packers on both sides, right? And then you got the 49ers and the Lions, and like emotionally, you took a big loss, and I don't know if they're going to get up for this either. I'm intrigued. Though Vegas put a big spread in this game, and it's very likely that your Browns go down to the.
And it looks like the Bears have a 7.5 point. They're favorites going into this game, and we'll see how that goes. So.
Yeah. So of rooting interest, the next game we're going to talk about is the most likely game to have something favorable for the Lions to happen.
Right.
And that is the Packers going out to the Mile High Stadium and playing the Denver Broncos.
So go Broncos. And in this game, if you look at it, the Packers are favored, which is crazy to me. But the Broncos are a defensive-oriented team. They'll grind it out. They'll slow things down. I just hope that they get to Jordan Love and they make him make some back foot throws into the hands of those Broncos defenders. So
it could be a weather game at high altitude. It's a couple time zones away. There's a lot of factors that could happen. It's a road game, and in the NFL, as we know, it's hard to win on the road.
Absolutely, and the Packers are coming off a pretty emotional win. They're looking ahead again to the Bears in the next game moving forward, which is a divisional game. And the Broncos are right now leading that AFC. So, I mean, they're a good team.
Yeah. So, Packers rounded out Broncos, Bears, Ravens, Vikings. A formidable schedule.
Sure. I mean, the Ravens are, they're not necessarily as good as what we would have hoped, coming into the 2025 season. But they're
fighting for the playoffs.
Still fighting.
Yeah.
Still fighting.
Next, we got, Seahawks, Colts, which if you told us 3 weeks ago, you'd have said, man, this is going to be an absolute great game. Colts probably have the edge. 3 weeks ago, they were the best team in football. And
an Achilles later, and you're asking Phillip Rivers to come in to lead your team. So
who's older, you or Phillip Rivers?
I think we're probably we're right now same age.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Can you imagine the Brian Michaels leading the Colts in this game against the best team in the NFC, or one of the best teams in the NFC?
I don't know. This B Mike's he's been pounding the pavement on the Dad Bod Miles Challenge. So It's 45 this week, Brian.
It's a
miles.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
So
that's a lot.
He waits till the last minute. Remember, there's Christmas and New Year's.
We grind. All right, I'm working
right
now.
I'm working. Right. Don't go all Phillip Rivers on me.
I'm not waiting until the last second this time. So
I've seen the clips of Phillip Rivers. One, his face, he looked like Phillip Rivers, met Elvins and Chipmunks or something. His face is a little fuller, and I've been watching that same old sidearm sling, that little short cock that he does, Lord. And man, it just doesn't look. There's no way.
There's not. I can't imagine him making it off the practice squad right now. He's gonna go home to his
37 kids,
12, 13 kids, and enjoy Christmas. So
yeah. I mean, I have 3 kids right now, and you know what? I want to leave my house too, and I think I would go out and embarrass myself just to say, yeah, just like,
I tried it.
Yeah, whatever, yeah. But I got some good sleep, and sure. Anyways, the Niners got the Titans, another big spread here. Niners got the Titans, then they got the Colts. Man, they really kind of lucked in this back half, and then they play the Bears and the Seahawks. So you could potentially see a couple losses in there for the 49ers, but you necessarily don't want them to lose to the Bears. That's going to be an interesting one, depending on how they all.
It is, yeah. What are you looking for here? Do we want to overtake the 49ers, or do we want to overtake the Bears? Regardless, it's this, continuing to battle each other. So one of these two teams we're looking to overtake. So.
Yeah, Bucks Falcons. Potentially, you could see the Falcons doing some damage here. Bucks have been vulnerable, but they got they're probably going to win the division. They don't factor a whole lot into the Lions' playoff chances.
Them, to be honest with you, they do not. They and the Eagles right now are two teams in the NFC that really don't impact the Lions all that much. Yeah. So
if the Panthers win out, they have the Saints this week, and the Bucks, and the Seahawks, and then the Bucks again. If they win out, there's a chance that they put a little bit of pressure on the Lions, but the Panthers winning out is rather unlikely.
It is. Yep.
So there's some education for you on kind of the path and the rooting interest for this weekend. But let's talk more specifically now about the 8-5 Lions against the 10-3 Rams Sunday at 4:00.
Oh, dude, the Rams are a good team, and we want to break down a little bit about their DVOA, the Lions DVOA. Right now, the Lions are a balanced team. They're 3rd overall, 5th in offense, 6th in defense, and 7th in special teams. So right now, they're consistent across the board in those areas. Which is crazy because we've been screaming all year about consistency.
Yeah.
Right. We've asked them to be better, offensively, or at least more fluid. And if you looked at the numbers, they're number 1 overall in scoring. And then defensively, you're you're asking them to be like, come on, we gotta stop the pass, we gotta stop the run. And consistently, they've been pretty solid in both. So they haven't been the best in both, but they've been consistently solid in both. So, and then this last week, you saw us just take a leap special teams wise. Now, in saying that, the Rams are 2nd overall in their DVOA, 1st in offense, 3rd in defense, and then they drop off in their special teams at 23rd. So we're looking at a very potent offense and a solid defense, especially up front. So.
Yeah. Noteworthy injuries from last week.
Yeah.
We got to address that. It's a tough one.
Brian Branch, Achilles looks like it's been torn, and there's been some question marks, and I don't know all the details as of yet between a tear and a rupture. We've asked our doc of the pod,
Dr. Baki, thank you. Yeah.
Doc Baki,
shout out.
Thank you so much. About the difference between those, and yes, there's some verbiage that goes along between a complete tear versus a partial tear. I'm unsure of what that exactly is. A complete tear is a blown or ruptured Achilles, and that does take upwards to 12 months or just below. Where a partially torn could be anywhere from 6 to 8 to 10 months.
Yeah. So hey Doc, if you get a minute, if you wouldn't mind putting the short out, forwarding it over to us and explaining this a little bit, we'll throw it on the pod. Personally, he's my doctor. He's probably your doctor.
He's my
as
doctor
well.
too.
As most people I know is doctor, so he's a trusted source in our community, and a friend of the podcast.
Yeah, love him.
So what are we gonna do in the secondary? We're bringing in some vets here.
Yeah, we got a couple guys coming in. Most recently is DeMonte Casey, and what he's done as of 2018. He was the interception leader in the NFL. So hopefully he's gonna be able to come back to at least support our secondary, our back half, in order to do that. We're not expecting him to become a replacement for Brian Branch, but at least a piece that can help that process, because we're still unsure about Kirby. His knee is still banged up. Is he going to be able to play this week, or is he still out? You look at Harper and his concussion protocol. But Avonte Maddox played a heck of a game, coming in replacement and being able to fly around. So
yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit as we put a bow on the Cowboys game. And what do you expect this offensive line looks like? Because they've been, shaking it up a little bit.
I dig it. Miles Frazier came in. So we had Cologne come in and start the game. And what was it, like 4 pressures in the first 7 snaps, or 4 pressures in the first 7, throwing opportunities. And it wasn't great, right? So Miles Frazier came in, and again, rookie, no training camp, coming in off an injury, live bullets are flying, and yeah, he's doing okay. He looks like a offensive lineman that he can find his way, and contribute to this team. So it just feels a little bit better about the future of that offensive line.
Yeah, there's optimism, I think.
Yeah.
That was his training camp right there.
Right.
Really, that's his preseason game, and he got thrown right in the fire and looked like fine.
He looks fine. Yeah, I mean, his pass sets weren't great, and he did allow some pressures, but when it comes to run blocking, he was climbing and finding different guys to block and wanting to bury guys. It looked very much like a Detroit Lions offensive line.
Yeah,
it was. I liked it. It gave me some optimism to feel like what it could be moving forward, because I don't want to bash on the guy yet, but Graham Glasgow, he looks like he's at the end of his career, not the beginning of his career.
We got a couple guys like that, right? So it's nice to see some of the youth. Mahogany looks like he could be a guy for a couple of years.
Yeah.
You got Frazier, looks like he could. You're kind of optimistic about that, right?
Yeah.
And also not just in a couple years, maybe in a couple games where you're getting some like real positive attributes from Miles Frazier, where he's getting a little bit more comfortable in there and doing a few things that like maybe open your eyes a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll see what he's got. He looks like we want to see him get some reps against the Rams. It does look like Yoda is going to get back on the practice field and getting some reps right now. We'll see Cologne, continue to try to improve there too. And so there might be a rotation there.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So talking a little bit about the Rams, I mean, obviously the Rams have a relatively balanced offense, right? Like they're really efficient throwing the ball to top end, maybe one of the best tandem of wide receivers in the NFL with Puka Nacua and Adams. Nacua is he's just tearing it up outside the red zone right now. Last week he had 2 touchdowns. Devontae Adams has been their red zone guy this season, just a veteran, a pro, somebody that's just on the same page. And then they feature 2 running backs now. Kyron Williams has been their go-to for the last several years, but Blake Corum's been getting almost an equal share, and he's got 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games.
And so you're starting to see that tandem that we've come to know in Detroit. They're starting to find their flow and find their efficiency. And not to mention, you talked about kind of their skill guys, but Matthew Stafford has played all but an MVP level right now, week in and week out up until like that Carolina game, but then responded really well this past week. So, we have our we have a task ahead of us right now. So
they set their offense up a lot like the Lions do. I mean, they throw the ball about 30, 32 times a game. They run the ball 20 to 30 times a game. They run to set up the pass. They pass to set up the run. So it's something that, like, it's a very balanced attack. On defense, very formidable defense.
Yeah.
This is a defense that is top 5 in the NFL in red zone efficiency. It's hard to score on them. They let you move between the 20s a little bit. Special teams is going to be very important.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Bates can be very important. And the Rams can take the ball away as well.
Yep. And what you're going to see is a solid front seven for the Rams. But their back half is I think where we're going to have to try to find our success. So, like you look at guys like Amon-Ra or even Gibbs in the passing game. J-Mo is going to have great games, and the ideal is that the offensive line gives Goff enough time to pick them apart, because if you looked at anywhere a weakness, it's going to be that back half.
So both defenses pretty similar, both offenses pretty similar. Maybe the last note here is, if the Lions are going to win this game, the Lions have an advantage on special teams. Mm-hmm. And that advantage looks like it's getting a little bit wider with the addition of Tom Kennedy.
Let's go, Tom.
So if the Lions can play perfect special teams, really good special teams, and force maybe a mistake on special teams from the Rams, that might be the way that you squeak out a victory on the road.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. The only other thing I want to add into that is a David Montgomery. I want to see a little bit more David Montgomery and his effectiveness in this game. We all love Gibbs. We all see Gibbs, and we all recognize the greatness that is Jahmyr Gibbs right now. He is arguably the best running back in football. He is arguably going to be a Hall of Fame running back, and arguably, we are in the presence of greatness when we see him run. But David Montgomery, there's a correlation between his success and the team's success.
Yeah.
So if we can get a little bit more, push up front, a slight gap here and there, and David can find his ways to pound the football, wear down the defense, and gain some efficiency there. It just seems like when David has success, so does Jared Goff, and so does Jahmyr Gibbs, and so does Amon-Ra St. Brown. And so there's just a correlation between what David is doing, Demo is doing, and the rest of that offense.
Yeah, so if you watched a few weeks ago when our kids were up here doing a podcast, we're going to do an analogy back from that. I'm thinking this on the fly here, but Brian, do you like French fries?
I love French fries. Chips, French fries. Yeah. What we got?
I don't know many people that don't like French fries, right? Like, I literally, if French fries were healthy, if they were like, hey, this is broccoli version of health, I would go to a place and I would say, you know what, just give me a ton of French fries.
Whole plate
right?
of French fries.
And I love it. I'm excited every time I get like that hot. It's a bummer when you get like the cold, mushy French fry, but when you get that nice, perfectly crisp French fry, that's a beautiful thing, right?
It
Brian?
is a beautiful thing. You almost have to like go out of your way to order, hey, I want those fries fresh.
Yeah, and then you sneak one off your kid's plate or your wife's plate, That's Jahmyr Gibbs. We love Gibbs, but that's not a healthy diet. It's right. All French fries, right?
Yeah.
So Montgomery is our grilled chicken, right? Like it's gonna be it's you get your protein. It's not sexy. It's relatively tasty, but you need a heavy dose of that to have a balanced meal, right? And so we can have that French fries, man. We can eat a lot of that, but we got to carve up that grilled chicken there in the middle of that plate.
We got to get that grilled chicken. And David Montgomery, the more and more we see this, has not lost a step. We just need to give a little bit more up front, find a small gap and allow him to grind. Because if you watch this Cowboys game, I was screaming, more Demo. Feed Demo at the end of that game in order to just grind this out and demoralize the Cowboys.
Yeah, and if you don't like grilled chicken or you're a vegetarian, the chickpeas, or you use a whole nother example, but something a little bit more balanced to get your protein in. All right, that being said, are the Lions a better team when they're just backs against the wall? They're coming off a loss, and like, I mean, statistically speaking, it's very impressive. Coming off a loss, they don't lose 2 in a row, as Brian told you, 37 times on this podcast.
If you watch this podcast, I'm guessing you're watching other podcasts, and you've heard it 1,000 times. The Lions don't lose back-to-back games.
You don't have to watch other podcasts.
You don't.
Just watch this one. Yeah.
Yep.
So, are they a better team? Backs against the wall.
It seems like it. I mean, they wake up, they recognize, hey, this is not a taste we like in our mouth, and we got to rid that from us quickly. But what we got to start doing is winning back-to-back, having back-to-back wins, not just back-to-back, or not losing back-to-back losses. So we got to find ways in order to be consistent game to game with that same mentality. Because I love the Detroit Lions when their back is against the wall.
Yeah, I would argue this is the last game on their schedule, potentially, where their back isn't against the wall.
Right.
You lose this game, you got to win out to make the playoffs. That's doable. You win this game, and you allow your back not to be pinned against the wall for the final 3.
And that's what we want to see, man. We want to start seeing this team catch fire.
Yeah.
We don't want to see us limping in to the playoffs with extra help from everybody else. Take this destiny that's in front of us and run with it. So once we hit the playoffs, we're playing our best football. Yeah. That's what I want to start seeing. And you saw glimmers of that in the Cowboys game.
Yeah. So I referenced earlier the running challenge we've been doing just to get rid of our dad bods, right? It started at 30 miles in a week, then it's 35, 40, 45. Friend of the podcast, Tyler. Shout out, Tyler. Usually he's back there sneezing and snoring. He's not here tonight. Tyler is the kind of guy that, like, he finishes his runs early, right? So he gets to the end of the month and he's already hit his target by, day 22, whatever. So we get to like last day of the month and Tyler's like, you know what? I'm going to have a bonus day. I'm going to go down to Lost Art Brewing Company. Shout out to Lost Art Brewing Company. I'm going to have a couple pops and I'm not going to worry about taking a run because he's afforded himself that luxury. His back is against the wall. My friend B. Mike's, he's like, I got to take 3 runs on one day and I got to get 11 miles in, which is horrible. Back against the wall, guy always performs, right? But like that's not ideal. Like, especially if your wife's like, hey, like, you gotta watch the kids. Somebody's got basketball practice, this and that. Like, it can create some hard times. So,
yes.
Let's not wait till the end. Let's start securing this a little early so we can have a little more stress-free Lions watching going forward.
I would appreciate it as a fan. Like, I know you would appreciate it as a fan too, where we can just take a breath a second and not feel like every play is the make or break. So yeah.
Power rankings. Easy segue into that. Power rankings are listing the Rams as number 1 team in the NFL right now. So we're going on the road to the number 1 team across 3 time zones to face the Rams.
Now, in saying that, like you look at the Rams, but you also look at their stadium and you look at Rams fans. Are there Rams fans? Are we going to see more Lions fans in LA than we're going to see Rams fans in LA? It's possible. You're
going to see Lions fans.
You're going to see Lions fans.
Yeah.
Lions fans travel, and you keep doing you because you make being part of this fan base amazing.
Yes. I feel like Rams fans also own a New York Yankees hat. They probably have an Alabama T-shirt and a Chicago Cubs jersey. It's just they're a pretty transient bunch.
Right.
So. Beautiful stadium. I'm not really worried about the atmosphere, but it is 3 time zones.
Yes.
It's their home turf.
Yep.
And just I'll quickly blow through the rankings, and you stop me where you think something's interesting. But
okay,
the Patriots are.
I'm going to stop you already because, gosh, isn't that crazy? If we can stop and think about where the Patriots were last year, going into this, and now we're talking about them being the second best team in football. It's just you put together a great coach with a solid, culture and a decent quarterback, and you got yourself just an amazing process there, right?
Yeah, they're doing it. Team number 3, Seahawks, another team we're fighting with. It makes it pretty hard, man. Like,
makes it hard. You looked at the going into this season, and you're thinking like 10 wins, 11 wins. I predicted 12 wins for the Lions, and you're like, yeah, playoffs are going to be easy. And we're looking at like 10 wins might not make it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. go down the list a little bit, and we start feeling bad for ourselves. We're going against the Rams, but next team on the list is the Broncos, followed by the Packers. So the Packers, and they're going on the road. That's a tough game.
Tough game.
I can't really argue so far. Then you got the Bills, 49ers.
And the Bills are a question mark right now because I feel like they might be a little bit lower. Maybe, I don't know. They're a question mark too because they're up and down each and every week. It depends on how Josh Allen plays. So
49ers, Jaguars, Eagles have come from the top to floating here at number 9, and then the Bears, and then the Lions at 11.
And then the Bears.
Yeah.
And that's what's tough right now is everybody and you included as Lions fans knew going into this season that the Bears were our rival and one of our rivals, and nobody believed in the Bears or that Ben Johnson would be able to turn this team around so quickly. But maybe at the beginning of the year, the Bears found ways to win or found ways to snatch the victory from the jaws of defeat. But at this point in the season, like, this is a good team. And I'm going to be one of the first to eat my words a little bit because this is a good team, and we're going to be fighting with this team all the way up until the end.
Yeah, they played the Packers tough. That was an entertaining game to watch.
Yeah,
I was as entertained by that game as I was the Lions game. Is it just somebody just trying to figure out? Oh my
gosh! And I found myself excited when the Packers scored touchdowns, and I hate myself for that. So.
Yeah, that was wild. So
sorry, Steve,
friend of the pod. So Brian, let's talk about the Packers game.
All right, that was a fun game.
That was a great game.
It was a great game. It was so fun.
So Brian and I, we want to come out, and because we do one podcast a week typically, Brian will throw some shorts out, but really what we want to do is we want to talk about last week right away, but you're catching this podcast on a Thursday or a Friday or a Saturday for the first time, and you're probably tired of hearing about that. So we bury this in the back of our podcast, but not in the back of our minds, Brian.
Yeah.
That was just
a fun game. The Lions, all three phases looked like they were playing like what Dan Campbell says, complimentary football. And when the offense had to punt, the defense came up with a stop. When the offense scored, they were able to actually have some great plays on special teams. It was by far my favorite game of the season so far.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about fourth quarter when Tom Kennedy, the game's a little bit in limbo, and he's taking the ball to the 50-yard line, giving Lions they're one first down away from a Jake Bates field goal to kind of ice, at least overtime.
Yeah, and it just made me feel good that guys like David Montgomery were able to pound the ball and get some success. And Jahmyr Gibbs looks like the best back in all of football. And Amon-Ra, who wasn't supposed to play in this game, we lead off by feeding him the ball, and then he is a contributor in and out, which I have to say, him getting hurt may have woken our offense up a little bit. Okay. And I don't know if there's a correlation there, but Jared Goff is not just relying solely on Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Because Amon-Ra was pulled out of that Packers game, we got J-Mo is starting to get 90-plus yards a game. We feed Jahmyr Gibbs. We have David Montgomery. We're able to get Amon-Ra still his parts. And let's not forget that Tesla had a touchdown in that game too. So
all he does is what did Chris Berman used to say about Chris Carter? All he does is catch touchdown passes.
Dude, he's got 8 catches on the year, and 4 of them are touchdowns. Yeah, that's crazy.
Incredible. So you talked about correlation, and I'm a stats guy. That's kind of what I do for a living. Yeah. There's a difference, Brian, between correlation and causation, and I think this is more causation.
Okay.
Where you have a guy, going out, and then you have other guys stepping up, and now you have a more versatile attack. And you can also say Laporta going down, not ideal. I mean, honestly, that's a guy that we would want on our team right now. But because he went down, you're starting to see J-Mo get the ball more. Tesla's getting a lot more snaps. Gibbs getting the ball out of the backfield, which is one reason it's really hard to take him off the field because he's a threat receiving the football.
And you don't. You start to see more opportunities where Dave Montgomery and Gibbs are on the field at the same time.
Yeah. So the stars look like stars. The offense had flow.
Yeah.
Three phases complemented each other, man. The special teams picking up. Jake Bates had one kick blocked, but he nailed some big field goals. The punt game looked great. Punt return, kick return. I mean, Tom Khalif he's a dog, but
Tom Kennedy has no fear, right? He's finding his spots and he's going as fast as those legs will allow him to go, and he's hitting that thing hard. So.
Yeah. So you mentioned Gibbs. Houston had a good game. St. Brown, Rock Ya-Sin he's sticky in coverage, and I keep seeing offensive players pass interfere with Rock.
Yeah.
And he's not getting that call. And he's had it called against him, a couple games ago. He is sticky in coverage, man. He is all over you without really drawing too many flags. He's been a dog down the stretch.
And so the only question mark that now we have is, Brian Branch. And if you saw the short, Brian Branch went down. We signed a couple guys in order to help replace him, or at least, lessen the hurt, if you will. But that is huge. That is a guy that's been so versatile in our defense, allows us to play a base defense without a lot of substitutions. He can play deep, he can play man, he can play zone, he can come up and hit, he can blitz. He does it all, and not having him is gonna hurt. So we'll see what that back half looks like. I am not nearly as worried with Rock Ya-Sin or Amik Robertson or DJ Reed. In the game, DJ Reed's still knocking some rust off. I'm hoping he continues to pick it up. I hope that he finds himself. He did get that interception.
A circus interception. That was kind of nice.
We'll take it. But there were some times that he looked not necessarily just a step, but two steps behind some wide receivers. And so we're hoping he finds himself and plays the best game that he has this season against the Rams.
Those are some dang good wide receivers again last week. So it's 2 weeks in a row from just two stud wide receivers.
Yeah. Well, you're going from two stud wide receivers to two stud wide receivers, right? So there's no breath to be taken. He's gonna have to play a game. So.
Yeah. The Cowboys stud wide receivers, they're kind of like, I don't know, they're prissy playboy style wide receivers. These guys that we're facing this week, they are gritty. They're blue collar wide receivers, man. They're just different.
Listen, I'll give you Puka, but I put Devontae Adams, and if you've heard the St. Brown podcast, you can hear that Devontae Adams he's still not gonna grind you out and block you down the field for the running game, but he's still pristine in his route running, his pass catching, and he's a big body in order to attack that red zone. So
yeah, all right. Let's move it over to. You want to make some money?
Let's what do you got? What do you got, Rob?
Hey, last week, what'd I give you? I get everything I gave you, everything I laid on the table. It was just hit. So
it's about time, because you had a couple of weeks where you were struggling a little bit.
Officially, I'm 5-3 on the year, but if you give me all three of those from last week, I'll call myself 7-3 on the year. Right. It was a good week. Coming.
What do you got this week?
Well, I got this week, man. I got a lot of data. I'm gonna throw just a ton of crap at the wall, and maybe one or two things will stick here, right? So, Lions 5.5 point dogs on the road. They're getting 72% of the tickets in Vegas right now, but they're getting less than 50% of the money. It's early in the week. That flows typically a lot at the very end of the week. So, it's hard to call that a sign right now, because things will move later on in the week.
Sure, but you mentioned something just before the pod hit, that there was a big flip in the.
So when I looked at this data about 4:30 today, and the Lions were getting 72% of the tickets and 73% of the money. From that point at 4:30 to recording this podcast, about 10 o'clock, I re-looked at the data. The Lions were getting 72% of the tickets at that point, and only 48% of the money. So that tells me that there's been a huge flow, probably just a couple tickets of big dollars that went in on the other side. The line hasn't moved yet. That's not it's not a great sign right now.
No.
All right.
No.
So I'm not. It's just too early in the week to call that. If I feel so, I'll wait to see Dr. Baki's video sent to you where you post it, and then I'll also do another one.
Yeah.
But what I really like, Gibbs anytime at -190, that seems to be hitting. I like that as a tacker honor to any other bet. So
you're creating a little parlay?
I'm gonna give you a couple different avenues to choose from. Them. I'm gonna give you an official one. Okay. Receiving yards. Gibbs receiving yards, 40 yards, -129. I love that as well. Puka, 100 yards, even money. Seems very likely. That guy is the Lions don't break a ton in the red zone, but they bend between the 20s. Puka's a guy that just is a guy that will get 10, 12 catches on you, and he'll nickel and dime you for, next thing you know, he's got 120 yards. Blake Corum, he's got 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. He's plus 180 for anytime touchdown. That's a niche one, but it's a fun one. Stafford, even money, passing the ball, 270. I like that. It's not my pick. These are all things that I kind of like and I'm gauging. So final pick here. I really like to take the Gibbs receiving yards, take it down a little bit, take it down to 25, and take Stafford's passing yards down to 260. If you do that, you're getting even money and you're getting cash in your wallet. Okay. So Stafford's line is going to come out a little higher. You can scroll to the left 1 notch or 2 notch. Scroll to the left on Gibbs 1 notch. So take that 25. And if you want to get cute, and I like this a lot too, tack on a Gibbs anytime touchdown to that for plus 170. Make some plus money. So we're just exploiting both teams' weaknesses here.
Okay.
But officially, I'm saying Gibbs 25 receiving yards, Stafford 260 passing yards, even money, gonna hit.
Okay.
Also, I'll say officially, tack on that Gibbs.
Oh, officially.
Anytime touchdown, get your plus 170.
And a Gibbs anytime touchdown would put him over Barry for the most touchdowns for anyone under 24.
And you don't think Dan Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs want that more than anything?
That.
And they don't want to just tie it.
They want to destroy.
They don't want to
that.
just beat it by 1. They want to set a new nice high water mark.
So,
right. You've passed the time. Now it's time to cash in.
Let's go.
That's a fun segment. The next one could be fun or could be depressing. But Brian, why don't you kick it off into Bill's bullet points? I'm sure Bill's got to be riding the wave right now.
Oh, Bill. I love Bill. So talked a little bit about Bill. Bill went to Chicago with his family to watch the game. He was hanging out in Chicago, took his family on a little trip, hanging out at the Hyatt, and his buddy kind of set him up, talks glowingly about that trip, loves it so much, but also what made that trip for him so great was watching the Lions victory on Thursday night. So he was nothing but complimentary about that trip and his buddy, and the Lions. But ultimately we're going against the Rams this week. So there's some frustration, maybe not frustration, some reservations about how we are going to be moving forward with Bill. So, what do you think? I mean, we asked him, like, what do you think? How things going to be able to move forward? And he's concerned that the Rams and their performing offense is going to pick apart the Detroit defense. So he says he'll admit it that 44-30 SmackDown in Dallas showed that the passing game actually works, that Goff's receivers look sharp, that the passing game and Gibbs look fundamental and great, but he would still continue to love to feed Demo in those closing hours of the game. So
all right, Bill, give it any kind of playoff hopes? Is he talking a little bit about like anything, or is he just kind of keeping it?
He's reserved. Like,
okay.
Listen, man, he's guarding himself from hurt right now. So he's not jumping all in. Yes, we're 100% making it. He's not saying no, there's no way, but he's just protecting himself.
Yeah.
Right now, so
yeah, all right. Thanks, Bill, for that. Bill, are you going to guest on this podcast at some point, man?
I ask him every single day. Yeah. Every single day. Hey, let's just introduce you. Hey, I'm Bill, and here's my bullet points. Love him to at least do that so that we have a face to that. Hasn't done it yet.
Yeah. Also, I had something teed up tonight for Christopher Robin to come in.
Christopher Robin, where you at?
Front of the pod. Typically over there, kind of cheering us on. Knows more. He's forgotten more about Lions football than I'll ever know in my life.
And he and I have some great banters. So
I'm going to try to tee this up. So I need to get this on live, right? So I'm trying to figure out a way just to get him on camera and do a little bit of that. Kind of closing, Daniel Jones, torn Achilles.
Yeah.
We've seen that with our own lines. Zach Ertz, he gone. That
ACL looked nasty, and those Vikings fans can never say that Kirby Joseph is a dirty player ever again.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to touch on before this absolutely monster game this week?
Besides Philip Rivers at 44 taking over the Colts?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna take over the practice squad or the buffet or his 14 kids.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
That'll be interesting. I'd love to see it. I watched the fantasy waiver wire pop off, and a couple guys were making some claims on Philip Rivers. I'm like, man, all right, cool. Good luck with that.
I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, and you're the garbage waiver wire guy of them all, so that's great. So go Broncos! I think this week, right?
We obviously. I'll throw something out later, closer to Sunday about our rooting interests for Sunday. Kind of touched on it here on this pod, but let's go Browns.
The Browns would be an absolute massive win.
Yeah.
Brian, if the Browns can win this game, will you give us a shirtless video of you running around your house celebrating?
Hey, listen, I'm not Ben Johnson. I am not Fitzpatrick. I'm like, yeah. You're
like, if Ben Johnson and Graham Glasgow had a kid, but come on, I'll challenge you. The likelihood's not very high, but would you give us
if the Browns win,
you and the kids with the shirts,
we're celebrating with the shirts.
The shirts like a helicopter. All right. I like that a lot. I like it a lot.
We might lose subscribers if I do that, but we're going to do it anyway.
That being said, if you're still watching, like, comment, subscribe, listen, play with us on the podcast.
Yeah.
We love you for that. And this is a playoff run, man. We're excited. We're here. We're going to inject enthusiasm into your week as the Lions make their push.
Let's go, Lions. And check us out. Here we go.
Stay gritty. Go Lions. Thanks for tuning in with us, a Detroit Lions podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Brian.